Hi, welcome to the Heights School. I'm Alex Bertay here with Mentors Compass. Our topic for today has to do with something I'm running into more and more these days with many high schoolers I chat with, and that's anxiety they're feeling over not knowing what they're supposed to do with their life, what they're supposed to study in college. Will they get into their top choice? And if they don't, what does that mean for their future? What is their passion? What career should they choose? What they're supposed to be when they grow up? I mean, these are big questions, and I suppose it's a good thing that they're thinking ahead about these things, and giving them some direction on what interests to explore and all that. But if they're literally losing sleep over it, obsessing even, then it's not healthy. It's disordered, and it carries with it the implication that everything is riding on them. Feeds a sort of pride that says I'm in total control of my life and can do anything on my own if I will it and work hard enough, which is not the case. So let's start by tackling college anxieties. There's a myth that you need to dispel amongst many of your mentees who are anxious over college, and that's the myth that when it comes to college, it's Ivy or bust, or Duke or Notre Dame or UVA or fill in the blank, and that it's gotta be one of these schools or the future is hopeless. Now, it may sound obvious, but I'm finding that boys need these reminders, and I share this information with them in a couple of ways. Number one, I say yes, getting into a traditionally recognized prestigious school, for example an Ivy, can potentially make it easier for some doors to open in life. That's true. And I say potentially because someone could get into an Ivy, let's say, and then play video games all day and party hard while there, and if they graduate, they've set themselves up for no doors to open, or if they do get their foot in the door, because of the Ivy stamp, they will be woefully underprepared. So there are no guarantees just because you get into the school of your dreams. No guarantees that your ticket to the land of milk and honey will be punched and ready to go. But yes, it can help. And number two, I remind many of my mentees that you can still be successful even if you don't get into your top school. Who knows how many CEOs there are out there that went to schools not traditionally recognized as the big name, prestigious schools one might associate a CEO with having gone to. Now, what does matter when you go to school? Are you reliable? Are you teachable? Are you interested in learning? Do you surround yourself with people who are going somewhere in life? Are you willing to work hard? Are you intellectually curious? Are you nice to people? Can you work well in teams? Do you manage your time well? Are you thoughtful? Do you make an effort to build networks with people who share your interests and keep up with them? These are the little things that open doors in life no matter where you go to school. And these are the things that make life worth living. Here's another myth you may need to dispel with your mentee, and that's the myth that they need to know what their passion is right now, and consequently what they'll be doing professionally 5 to 10 years from now. Now, as I was brainstorming this topic, my 5-year-old son laughed at this notion that some people don't have this figured out yet. And he said, "What? How can someone not know what their passion is? That's weird." And I said, "Oh yeah, well, what's your passion?" And he said, "That's easy, Dad. Dinos and robots." I'm like, "Oh, well, there you have it." And he actually wants to be a policeman who invents things like a candy shop that's only for kids, no adults, where they can have as much candy and toys as they want. So, while some people, like my 5-year-old son, know exactly what they're going to do at a young age, many others go to college specifically to figure that out. Maybe they have an idea of what field they want to be in or what they might like to study, maybe not, but that's part of what college is for, and that's what your mentees need to know. And I think a big part of the anxiety for boys is that sometimes they perceive that everyone around them has it all figured out, which is not true. Or maybe they frequently get questions on, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what are your plans after you graduate? And it might be worth giving them a little bit of coaching on a 7-second elevator speech. Can't hurt. Something like, I have a few areas of interest that I want to look at, take some classes in, but for now I'm still in the information gathering, learn as much as I can phase. There's so much. All that being said, you may also need to remind your mentee that there is another reason for going to college beyond setting yourself up to land a good job post-graduation. And that's to be an educated man. It's like my buddy Jerry Karavitis, the great Greek Jerry Karavitis told me once before soccer practice. He said, and I don't remember the context, but he said, Alejandro, I came to college to learn how to read, how to think, and how to write. That's why I'm here. Now let me tell you something. If your mentee can do those 3 things after he graduates, he'll be in good shape. So plant that seed. Finally, there's one more thing that is worth mentioning to your mentee at some point about college. And that's that it's a time to embrace adulthood and all that that means, and to reject the popular notion that college is just a time to prolong your adolescence without parental supervision. Okay, so the aforementioned are very human, earthly ideas to remind your mentee of or introduce them to. Now there's a more important idea though that you should also communicate, and that's this. God loves your mentee more than you do, and He has a plan for him. He loves him more than his parents do. He's known that plan forever, and ultimately that plan involves helping him find his greatest happiness, because that's what God our Father wants for all of us. He wants us to be happy. Now there are certain things that can help us get there faster: prayer, fulfilling relationships, study, meaningful work, taking care of our physical health, personal development, being other-centered, setting goals, receiving direction from someone older, wiser, and if not older, at least wiser. But ultimately, your mentee needs to trust that God has a plan for him and that it will unfold at the right time. This is a thought that needs to be replayed in his mind over and over to counter the thoughts of, I've got to have it all figured out. Now, there's a caveat here that you got to let your mentee know about, and that's this. We should pray like everything depends on God, but we also need to work like everything depends on us. So God has a plan, but your mentee needs to cooperate and give that plan a chance to unfold. If he knows what he wants to do, or if he doesn't, either way, he should focus his efforts on being ready. My wife and I were talking recently about our kids and what our hopes are for them by the time they hit their 20s, and we joked, or better said, we projected about what we hope they'll be doing. And then we came to the conclusion that the most important thing we can hope for them, that we can ask for them in our prayers, is that they be ready. That when the time comes and the moment has arrived for them to embrace their vocation, to embark upon and commit to a path that will lead them there, that they be ready psychologically, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, that they don't hesitate, that they don't fear commitment, that they embrace it. So how can you help your mentee get ready? Well, remind him not to focus so much on the outcome, and instead to focus on developing his ability to work well with intensity and constancy and without distraction, on expanding his heart and looking intentionally for opportunities to love generously without counting the cost, sacrificially even, and being quick to forgive when injured or offended. By developing the virtue of prudence, the routine practice of pausing, planning, weighing goods, remembering previous experiences, either his or those of others, and acting in accord with what's best. By pushing himself to develop his intellect through study and reading and taking an interest in the world around him, current events, culture, art, because as it says in the good book, God made the world and saw that it was good, so must be something to learning about it. You should help him to see the value in setting goals for himself, to grow in virtues such as toughness, order, responsibility, etc. And by valuing loyalty to his friends, to his family, to his ideals, to his faith. Right? So these are all big ideas, and I guess we could make videos about all of those things independently or individually. But as a mentor, your job is to help your mentee find practical means of developing these parts of himself. Because at the end of the day, what's going to see him through? As a wise man once said, it's not luck. Luck? There is no such thing as luck. Luck is what happens when preparation and opportunity come together. So I leave you with a quote, and this one is from Winston Churchill. He once said, "To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour." Maybe your son or mentee has a sense for the arena in which his finest hour may come, maybe not. Either way, help your mentee break away from the idea that he is in total control of everything, to let go and let God, and instead to focus on getting ready. So that's our time for this week. Thank you for joining us here at the Heights School. I'm Alex Berthet here with Mentors Compass. See you next time.